There are corners of our world that seem to resist us. Remote islands no one has ever touched. Their coastlines too jagged, their wildlife too lethal. Places where the air sears your lungs and the ground splits beneath your feet, as if the land itself is warning you away. Bunkers buried under decades of silence, sealed so tightly the air inside hasn't shifted in a generation. Even the maps keep their distance. These are the edges of the world, where the nearest living soul might be thousands of miles away. No welcome signs, no footprints, just wind, stone, and an uneasy stillness. Some are stamped restricted in military ink. Others are left alone because getting there is nearly impossible. Boreholes that vanish into the earth with no known end. Government bunkers built to survive global collapse. Valleys where uncontacted tribes live in silence. An island so dangerous that setting foot on one could mean never leaving. These aren't places people forgot. They're places people were never meant to reach. So wherever you are, tucked in under the covers, curled up with a snack, or just winding down for the night, make yourself comfortable. Let the world outside fade for a while, and join us as we take a quiet journey through the most abandoned, forbidden, and forgotten places on Earth. And as always with our videos, the visuals are here to provide context, but they're not required to enjoy the stories. So feel free to close your eyes if you like. Just listen, and let's begin. Far out in the South Atlantic Ocean, nearly halfway between the southern tip of Africa and the edge of Antarctica, sits a small island few have ever heard of, and even fewer have ever seen. Bouvet Island. Just 19 square miles of volcanic rock, glacier, and sheer cliff, surrounded by some of the roughest waters on Earth. It's so remote, so isolated, that it holds the title of the most inaccessible island on the planet. No one lives there. There's no harbor, no airstrip, no permanent station. And yet, it's a place that continues to stir curiosity. Not because of what's on it, but because of what's not. Bouvet is technically a Norwegian territory, claimed in the early 20th century, and designated a nature reserve in the 1970s. It has no known history of human habitation, no folklore, and no native people. The island is almost always surrounded by sea ice. The nearest land is over 1,000 miles away, and the weather, relentless. Wind, freezing rain, sleet, and an ever-present fog that rolls in from the sea like a curtain. Temperatures hover just below freezing year-round. It's the kind of place where nature is left to its own devices, and where anything unnatural stands out. The island itself is a dome of ice and lava. Formed by volcanic activity, it rises sharply from the ocean with steep cliffs that make any landing by boat nearly impossible. Only a small sliver of exposed coastline, the Niroisa, or New Rock, offers a spot where helicopters can sometimes land in the rare window of calm weather. Scientists have used it to install automated weather stations or collect samples, but those visits are rare and brief. No one stays long on Bouvet. It doesn't let you. Most of the island is buried beneath a thick glacier that covers over 90% of its surface. There are no trees, no grass, and barely any life beyond hardy mosses, lichens, and the seabirds that nest along the cliffs. Petrels and skuas glide over the windswept plateau, while seals and penguins gather in the icy waters below. The silence is near total, broken only by the sound of wind and waves slamming against rock. It's a place that feels untouched, not just by civilization, but by time itself. And yet, for such an isolated and seemingly uneventful island, Bouvet has a handful of stories that remain unexplained. The most well-known mystery dates back to 1964. A British expedition led by a Royal Navy weather ship approached the island on a rare mission. The sea ice had parted just long enough to allow a small team to investigate. They landed at Niroisa and began their standard survey. But as they moved across the rocky shore, they came across something unexpected. A lifeboat. It was in good condition, sturdy, intact, and clearly placed there, not simply washed ashore. Near the boat were a few barrels, some debris, and signs that someone, recently, had been there. But there were no footprints in the snow, no people, no notes, no explanation. The ship that the lifeboat might have come from was never identified, and no one ever claimed it. In the vastness of the Southern Ocean, the appearance of a lifeboat on an island with no harbor, no settlements, and no clear reason to be visited raises more questions than answers. Was there a shipwreck nearby that went unreported? Had someone attempted to use Bouvet as an emergency stop and vanished? Was it left by a previous expedition and forgotten, or something else entirely? Despite attempts to trace its origin, the boat remains one of Bouvet's enduring riddles. It's not the only one. In 1955, a South African expedition that landed briefly on the island also reported finding strange structures, metal poles, a weathered hut, and discarded debris. But no clear sign of who left them or when. Later visits couldn't confirm what was seen. The reports were vague, the details scattered. But like the lifeboat, they added to the island's reputation for being a place where things show up without a clear cause and then vanish just as quickly. Because of Bouvet's extreme remoteness, conspiracy theories and speculations tend to follow it. Some have suggested it was used during the Cold War as a secret observation point or as a potential emergency shelter. Others point to the lack of surveillance and suggest it's the perfect place to test or hide something. In 2004, it even became the setting for a fictional base in the movie Alien vs. Predator. But none of these theories have been supported by actual evidence, and for the most part, the island has remained exactly what it appears to be, a lonely, icy outpost in the middle of nowhere. Its scientific value, however, is real. Bouvet is part of a unique ecosystem of subantarctic islands, harsh, isolated places that provide scientists with insight into how life survives at the edge of the world. The island's glaciers are monitored for signs of climate change. Its surrounding waters are part of global ocean current systems that help regulate climate and weather patterns far beyond the southern hemisphere. And because the island is so untouched, it serves as a kind of environmental baseline, what the world looks like with no human interference. But even with all that, Bouvet still holds its mystery. There's something about its silence, its inaccessibility, its total indifference to human presence. It doesn't invite stories. It doesn't seem to want visitors. And yet, it's there, out in the fog, always frozen, always distant. Looking at satellite imagery, Bouvet appears as little more than a smudge in the ocean, a jagged outline surrounded by swirls of white and gray. In winter, even that vanishes beneath cloud and snow. Ships pass hundreds of miles away without knowing it's there. Planes rarely fly overhead. There are no nearby flight paths, no fishing routes, no trade lanes. It's not on the way to anywhere, which makes its rare visitors, and the traces they leave, all the more striking. One could argue that Bouvet's greatest mystery isn't the lifeboat, or the strange equipment, or the absence of answers. It's the island itself, why it's so compelling. Why, in a world so mapped, so measured, a frozen rock at the end of the earth can still pull at the imagination. Maybe it's the knowledge that this place exists, a real place, so far beyond where most of us will ever go. A reminder that not everything has been touched or explained, that there are still places where silence rules, where the wind carries no stories back. And maybe that's why we're drawn to it, not to conquer it or even to understand it, but simply to know it's there. That out in the South Atlantic, beyond the edges of the map, beyond the reach of roads or rails, there's an island of ice and fog where nothing lives and nothing lingers, a place that resists, endures, and remains. And so Bouvet Island sits, as it always has, weathered, watching, and waiting. From the cold, howling winds of Bouvet Island, we now move not into the wild, but behind locked doors. Not remote in distance, but in access. In the heart of Pyongyang, tucked away in an anonymous government building, lies an office almost no North Korean has never seen, and most outsiders are not even supposed to know exists. It's not a ruin or a lost city, it's something far more modern, and in many ways, far more unsettling. It's called Room 39. Or at least, that's what it's called, by those who have tried to investigate it from the outside. The official name may be different. It's never been confirmed by the North Korean government. Its sign, if it has one, is not public. But international experts agree. Room 39 is real, and its influence runs deep through one of the most secretive states in the world. First reported in the late 1970s, Room 39 is believed to be a department within the Workers' Party of Korea, the ruling party of North Korea. Its purpose? To bring in foreign currency, not by taxation or export or tourism, but through methods that range from state-run business ventures to less legal, often murkier sources. This includes gold trading, arms deals, and counterfeit production, according to defectors and intelligence sources. It's also been linked to North Korea's involvement in drug trafficking, cybercrime, and illicit trade networks that operate under layers of front companies and shadow banking systems. But beyond that general understanding, very little is known. There are no public records, no photos from inside, no confirmed list of employees, just fragments, leaks, rumors, and reports, mostly from defectors or foreign intelligence, pieced together like clues from a locked room. The name Room 39 likely comes from the room number it once occupied in the ruling party headquarters. It's thought to now operate out of another building entirely, possibly within the Kim Il-sung Square complex. But the original name stuck, and today it serves as shorthand for something larger, the system of hidden financial operations that help keep North Korea's leadership in power. Some believe Room 39 oversees a network of more than 100 companies and organizations, many based outside of North Korea, using false identities or shell companies. These operations are thought to be active in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and even Africa. The companies themselves might appear innocent: hotels, restaurants, mining firms, or fishing operations. But behind the paperwork, the funds are often funneled back to Pyongyang, supporting the country's elite and financing programs that are otherwise sanctioned or isolated by the international community. At the heart of it all, reportedly, is loyalty to the ruling Kim dynasty. Room 39 is not an independent actor. It's understood to report directly to the country's leadership. Some analysts have even described it as Kim Jong-un's personal slush fund. The money it collects doesn't go into public infrastructure or food programs. It goes toward weapons development, luxury goods, and whatever else the regime deems essential for its survival. The secrecy is by design. The workers inside Room 39 are likely among the most trusted in the country. Not simply bureaucrats, but operatives fluent in finance, trade law, international shipping, and digital networks. They operate behind closed doors, under aliases, and with diplomatic protections when possible. If something goes wrong, if a front company is exposed or seized, they vanish from the record. Occasionally, cracks appear. In 2005, the US Treasury sanctioned a Macau-based bank called Banco Delta Asia, accusing it of laundering funds for North Korean interests. That bank was linked by name to Room 39. In the years that followed, other operations surfaced. North Korean workers found overseas operating restaurants or factories, sending their earnings back to the regime. Ships carrying counterfeit cigarettes, watches, even Viagra traced back to state-owned companies. And more recently, cyber attacks attributed to North Korean hackers have targeted banks, cryptocurrency exchanges, and financial institutions in multiple countries. Each incident points back to the same system, one that operates in the shadows, beyond borders, and with few traces. And at the center of that system, always, is Room 39. But what's most disturbing about it isn't just the money. It's the role it plays in North Korea's structure of power. In a country where the vast majority of citizens struggle with food insecurity and limited access to electricity, Room 39 keeps the inner circle insulated. It maintains the palaces, the imported cars, the foreign education of elites. It builds the world that the regime lives in, entirely separate from the rest of the country. And because it's so hidden, It also resists outside pressure. Sanctions may hit exports and banks, but Room 39's network is flexible, adaptive. It doesn't rely on traditional trade. It deals in gold, rare minerals, encrypted transfers, and untraceable currencies. It's been compared to a state within a state, one that doesn't issue laws, but controls the purse strings behind the throne. The eerie part is that for all our modern surveillance, Room 39 still operates. It has outlasted presidents, sanctions, and investigations. It exists in one of the most tightly controlled societies on Earth, where internal dissent is crushed and secrecy is paramount, and it thrives. It's possible that Room 39 has changed over the years, split into multiple departments, rebranded under different names, moved locations, but the function remains to fund the regime through whatever means necessary. What makes it unsettling is that it's invisible in plain sight. You could walk past the building and never know. You could meet someone who works for it and never suspect. Its actions ripple out into black markets, digital vaults, and high-level deals, but it leaves no signature. Defectors who have spoken about Room 39 describe it cautiously. Some say it's more powerful than the official ministries. Others won't talk about it at all. And for many North Koreans, it's not even a known concept. It doesn't appear in textbooks or propaganda. It's not a part of public life. It simply exists, humming beneath the surface, always active. In recent years, as cyber capabilities have become more sophisticated, Room 39, or those connected to it, are believed to have shifted more of their operations online. The infamous WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017 was linked to North Korean hackers. Cryptocurrency thefts, phishing schemes, and online banking fraud have all been traced back to IP addresses and servers linked to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. These methods are harder to block, harder to track, and increasingly profitable. But even this digital evolution doesn't replace the old methods. Counterfeit goods, illegal trade, and front businesses still play a major role. The network is layered, global, and adaptable, one step ahead of law enforcement in many cases, and protected by diplomatic walls in others. So what's inside Room 39? We don't know. There are no verified images, no whistleblower photographs, just a name, a reputation, and a growing body of indirect evidence. Its existence is a reminder that not all mysteries are ancient or buried in sand. Some are still unfolding behind reinforced doors in cities we'll never see. And that's what makes Room 39 so compelling. It's not a ruin, it's not a myth. It's something real, current, and active, just hidden from view. A machine that funds a state, invisible but present, quiet but immense. In a world where most secrets eventually surface, Room 39 holds on. It doesn't speak, it doesn't flash, it moves quietly in the dark. And for now, that's where it stays. From the sealed corridors of Pyongyang, where secrets are kept behind steel and silence, we now move into a very different kind of danger. Not one hidden behind locked doors, but one that lies completely exposed, blazing under an open sky, humming with heat and chemical fury. Our next stop is a place so inhospitable that even bacteria struggle to survive, a place where the earth seems alive, bubbling, steaming, and shifting underfoot. Welcome to the Danakil Depression. Located in northeastern Ethiopia, on the border with Eritrea, the Danakil Depression sits at one of the lowest points on Earth, about 100 meters below sea level. But it's not just its depth that sets it apart. This region is one of the hottest, driest, and most geologically active places on the planet. Temperatures here can easily reach over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 49 degrees Celsius, and rain is rare to non-existent. Yet despite the heat and the desolation, life, of a sort, does exist here, just not the kind you'd expect. What makes the Danakil truly otherworldly are its acid pools. Scattered across this sunburned land are areas where the crust has cracked open, releasing steam, minerals, and acidic gases from deep within the earth. Over time, these emissions have created surreal landscapes, pools of toxic water in bright neon hues, crusts of yellow sulfur, orange salt deposits, and geysers spewing steam into the shimmering heat. The colors are stunning, even beautiful, but don't be fooled, they are signs of danger, not life. The most famous of these sites is Dalol, a hydrothermal field unlike anything else on Earth. Here, the ground is constantly changing, shaped by volcanic activity and the collision of tectonic plates. The air smells of sulfur, the pools fizz with carbon dioxide, and beneath the surface, acids boil and react, dissolving minerals and creating formations that seem almost alien. The pH of these waters can be below 0. That's not an exaggeration. It's chemistry at its most extreme. For a long time, scientists assumed nothing could live here. No plants, no animals, not even microbes. But in recent years, that belief has been challenged. Studies have found extremophiles, microorganisms that can survive in the harshest environments, lurking around the edges of some pools. Not thriving exactly, but hanging on. It's still debated whether these findings represent active life or remnants transported from more hospitable areas, but it adds an eerie question to the place. Is life possible even in a world that seems to reject it? The danger isn't just in the heat or the acidity. The ground itself is unstable. Crusts of salt and mineral look solid, but beneath them, the surface may give way to boiling pools or sharp chemical deposits. Step in the wrong spot, and your weight might crack through, plunging you into a liquid that can burn skin or worse. There are no marked trails, no fences, no signs, just the silent understanding among those who venture here. This is not a place for mistakes, and yet people have lived on the fringes of this landscape for centuries. The Afar people, a nomadic group with deep roots in the region, have learned to navigate the Danakil's hazards with care. For generations, they've harvested salt from the nearby flats, carving thick blocks by hand and transporting them by camel caravans. It's hard, dangerous work, done under a punishing sun, but it continues, linking modern Ethiopia to trade routes that go back centuries. But no one lives deep inside the acid pools. No homes are built here. No crops are grown. The Danakil's heart remains empty, desolate, colorful, and seething with chemical life. It is not forbidden by law, like Room 39, but by nature itself. To spend time here is to feel watched, not by people, but by the land, which seems to pulse with something unspoken. Geologically, the region is fascinating. The Danakil Depression is part of the Afar Triangle, a tectonic triple junction where 3 plates, the African, Arabian, and Somali, are slowly pulling away from each other. This rifting creates constant volcanic activity, earthquakes, and gas releases. It's a place where new Earth is being born, torn from the crust, inch by inch. In millions of years, this could be the site of a new ocean. For now, it's a boiling, toxic wound in the skin of the continent. That geologic violence is what fuels the pools. Water, either from underground sources or from brief seasonal floods, seeps into the fractured crust, where it's superheated by magma below. It returns to the surface in scalding jets, carrying with it dissolved minerals and chemicals. These react with the surface salts, creating the bizarre landscapes we see. Mounds that look like coral, formations that resemble alien cities, and colors that shift with the light, from lime green to deep crimson. The danger of this beauty is very real. Tourists who visit are warned not to touch anything. No dipping fingers into the pools, no picking up crusted salt samples. The gases emitted, especially chlorine, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide, can overwhelm quickly. In enclosed pockets, they can displace oxygen entirely. And the acids are not just corrosive, they're deadly. Still, the place draws attention. Scientists study it to better understand the limits of life on Earth, and to consider what life might look like elsewhere. NASA has taken an interest, viewing the Danakil as an analog for extreme environments on Mars or the moons of Jupiter, It's one of the few places on our planet that could help answer questions about the universe beyond. There's also something strangely quiet about the Danakil. Not just the absence of noise, but the way the landscape seems suspended, like it's waiting. The air shimmers, the colors pulse, and the land hisses and steams, as if warning you to keep moving. Even those who've studied it for years speak of it with a kind of reverence. It is not a place that welcomes you. It tolerates you for a while. Most people will never see the Danakil in person, and that's probably for the best. The roads are rough, the climate is brutal, and the risks are constant. But even from afar, its existence is a reminder that our planet still holds places that seem untouched by civilization. Places where the rules are different, where beauty and danger share the same space, where life, if it exists, clings to the edge of the impossible. The acid pools of the Danakil aren't famous like the Grand Canyon or Mount Everest. They aren't postcard destinations. They're not part of guidebook checklists. But they are extraordinary. They defy what we expect of Earth. And they sit quietly, pulsing with heat, in one of the most remote corners of the globe. To look at a photograph of Dalal is to question whether it's real. It seems too vivid, too strange. But it is real. It's there, right now, bubbling, burning, shifting, and it will still be there long after we've left. Unchanged, unbothered. It doesn't need us. And maybe that's what makes it so mysterious, so compelling, because not every place in the world is meant to be explored. Some are meant simply to exist, on their own terms, in their own time. And the Danakil Depression may be one of those places. Beautiful, hostile, silent, and alive in ways we still don't fully understand. From landscapes that burn your skin and stain the sky with steam, we now drift out to sea. Just off the coast of southeastern Brazil, in the Atlantic waters not far from São Paulo, lies a place that looks peaceful from a distance. A green dot on the ocean. A quiet island, untouched and seemingly serene. But this isn't a place you can visit, not anymore. Ilha da Queimada Grande, more commonly known as Snake Island, is one of the most restricted places on Earth. No tourists, no casual visits, no stepping ashore. What keeps people away isn't secrecy or political tension. It's something far older and far more primal. This island belongs to snakes, and not just any snakes, some of the most dangerous on the planet. Snake Island is small, only about 106 acres. It rises out of the water like a quiet hill, covered in rainforest and ringed by jagged cliffs. There are no beaches, no ports, and no permanent human presence. The Brazilian Navy strictly controls access, allowing only select researchers, biologists, or military personnel to land there, and even then, only with proper clearance and safety precautions. The reason is simple. The island is home to a species of pit viper found nowhere else on Earth, the golden lancehead viper, Bothrops insularis. A beautiful name for a terrifying creature. These snakes can grow over 1/2 meter long and deliver venom that is up to 5 times more potent than that of their mainland relatives. It's not just painful, it's fast-acting, capable of melting flesh and shutting down vital systems in hours if untreated. No one knows exactly how many golden lanceheads live on Snake Island, but estimates have ranged from 1 to 5 snakes per square meter in some areas. That's not an exaggeration. In the undergrowth, in the trees, among the rocks, this is their territory, and they don't share it easily. The isolation of the island helped shape this unique population. Thousands of years ago, as sea levels rose and the island was cut off from the mainland, a group of lancehead vipers became stranded. With no natural predators and no mammals to prey on, they adapted. Birds became